I just got done watching the eighth episode of the new Panty and Stocking with Garabelle season 2, and I wish to talk about just this episode specifically today, as I do unfortunately personally believe that this is going to be triggered as one of the worst episodes that the second season has to offer. No, not really the worst, but probably the weakest episode per se. And I want to talk about it because, again, I want to get this out of the way right here, right now. As again, I will be dropping a full on review and thoughts on this show once it is officially ended because so far I've been loving it. It's been great. But this eighth episode here is going to probably start a little bit of some talk around and some debate as of right now. And the reason being is that the first half specifically of this eighth episode is diving into, or I guess in a way, in a different art style in a different direction that is not like Panty and Stocking. And for anyone who has grown up with anime but in the early 2010s, literally around the time period when Kill la Kill was also bursting into seams and blew up Studio Trigger like crazy, there was a show before Kill la Kill that came out that was really popular, and that is Inferno Cop. Now, Inferno Cop, for many of you who is watching a lot of anime currently in this day and age, may not know this show, but this was a pretty short-lived series, each episode being 3 minutes in length. It was came out back in 2012, 2013, and this was literally Studio Trigger's first anime adaptation. And to say that this was like their first anime adaptation in general, this show really was like a really fun, really hilarious gag of Inferno Cop essentially just taking down criminals and villains and making sure that justice is served in the public. And like I said, I think with this eighth episode today, to clarify what Panty and Stocking season two's eighth episode was all about, was basically the first half of Panty and Stocking was essentially paying homage to Inferno Cop. And like I said, this is honestly not the first time Studio Trigger has also paid homage to Inferno Cop in one of their shows. They also did this back in 2016 with Space Patrol Luluco, where they had an episode dedicated to Inferno Cop and how basically Space Patrol Luluco and Inferno Cop's universe like actually made sense in the grand scheme of things, and it somehow actually worked out in a really hilarious fashion. And today's episode of Panty and Stocking with Gargoyle Season Two's eighth episode, I think they molded it really well. They really were able to pay homage to Inferno Cop so well with this rookie cop in the mix, and really just showcasing but why Inferno Cop was such a hilarious and really fun show when it came out back in the early aughts of the 2010s, but also maintain what made Panty and Stocking's humor and wittiness special from this episode today. And then, of course, I guess to wrap up today's episode that came out, it kind of pays homage to a little bit of a pretty well known fact that our main protagonist Panty likes to swear a shit ton, literally a shit ton, to the point that they decide to play around with the idea of what would happen if Panty decided to get censored every time she says every profanity out there out of the wazoo. And that's basically the eighth episode in a nutshell. So, yeah, I just want to come on here and just say that the eighth episode is really great. It's definitely not the weakest episode. For anyone saying that today's episode of Pain starting with Garrett Bell season 2 is like the weakest episode, I think the reason being that they have that argument is simply because they did not pay attention or watch Inferno Cop, which is understandable. But if you've also been paying attention to Pain starting with Garrett Bell season 2 and even season 1 up until this point, like this show has been like unapologetic and just unpredictable with what the next scene is going to be about. And it's still really amazing. It's still hilarious to watch, even as of right now. Again, gonna be dropping a full review of this right here, right now, but I figured to at least address this eighth episode because I think this is going to divide some people today after people give this eighth episode a shot. And yeah, just want to talk about this. Gonna continue watching this second season because I've been enjoying it a lot. And I'll see you all the next one. Later.